What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Weekly Dose of Dano TV with your host here, Dano, giving you the best content you're going to find on the internet. And today we have Mary back for episode part 1.5 or part 2, whatever you want to consider it. And I know I'm very excited to bring Mary back for so many great reasons. As you guys have seen in the first episode, there was just so much information that we didn't cover and, some technical issues that we had. But Mary, welcome back to the show. What do you have to say to the Positivity Posse before we get started?
Hey, Dano. Thanks for having me back. I'm thrilled to be here just to hang out with you and give good vibes and good information to help your audience. What is up, audience? You're in for a treat because when the two of us get together, it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, you already know. And I know I'm so happy to have you back. Thank you for coming back. And I'm really interested to dive deeper into money, the psychology of money, and how you can help us, whether it's very early on in our career, in our beginning stages of money, or if we are a pro or an expert. I know you have the tools and the knowledge in order to help everybody in between. So thank you, everybody, for being here. To my Positivity Posse, this wouldn't be possible without you. So thank you so much for coming in week in and week out. You guys always crush it. You guys provide good vibes for us, and we're just excited to be able to hold up a mirror and just put those good vibes right back to you guys as well. So everybody, kick back, relax, do whatever you have to do to raise your vibrations because it's time for another episode of Weekly Dose of Dano TV. Let's get it, everybody. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for being here on this Thursday at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, or if you're on the other side of the United States, you are in 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So thank you wherever you are. We appreciate you tuning in and watching Weekly Dose of Dano TV. Whether you're live on the replay, we are excited to give you all the golden nuggets that you're going to need in order to really feel more comfortable about money and what we need to do in order to make sure that we have that abundance mindset and to really dive deep into what is maybe holding us back and how we can move forward through the grace, the wisdom, and the awesomeness that is Mary Huang. And I'm just so excited for her to be here for today. But you already know every single week before we bring on the guests, we have to spend our time together, the Positivity Posse and myself, to really share about all the great things that might be going on in our own lives, to have a safe space in order to share that. So there are a few things that have happened since, our last episode that we had with Mary, and even just last week on our last episode of Weekly Dose of Dano TV. So here's just a few things that I want to share with you really quickly. So number one, there is an event going on this weekend hosted by It Takes a Village Housing, and it's going to be in the Camden area at City Hall from 11 to 3 this Saturday. And I'm going to be your MC for that event, and I'm super, super excited because last year, it was an awesome turnout, and there was a lot of great vendors and people in the community to come out to really support one another, to learn about resources about housing, resources about, wealth, or resources about, how to eat correctly, or all these great different events and vendors that were there. So right here, they're having the second annual Village Spring Fling, and I'm pretty sure you guys can see that, but there it is. If you need some more information or some more details, you have it right there on the screen. And the person that is running it, Jeanette Ramos, is absolutely probably the best person that I've ever met on this planet as well. You guys can find more information about her through the website, itakesaVillage1.org, or like I said, you can find more information here on the flyer as well. So I'm really excited to do that, and it's going to be a great time. So I hope to see you there. If you are in the Camden or surrounding areas as well, Philadelphia is right there. You already know. It's just a quick walk on the bridge, or if you want to take the train for $2, you're more than welcome to do that as well. So there's that. Actually, that's the emceeing event that I'm going to be doing this upcoming weekend. But actually, this past weekend on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I was the MC for another event in Philadelphia called the Diversity and Inclusion Convention. It was hosted by Gays in Space, and it was great because I knew nothing about Star. Well, there was a lot of elements of Star Trek, just diversity, inclusion, and all those great things. So I was very happy to just learn more about what the LGBTQ community goes through. Learning more about Star Trek and learning just about all the great people that have come together for that event. And like I said, I was the MC for that, so it was nice just to speak to everybody and be up on that stage to just really share that passion of love, diversity, and inclusion. So there's going to be some more content that you can see on my social media pages, or maybe even I'll decide to upload a few of the pictures and videos, and I'll share that with you next week as well. And then next month, as you guys already know, I will be in LA, just throwing out the good vibes and the good energy over there because E360 is having an event. And I'm going to be speaking at that event. It's going to be a great time. So you stick around and you'll be able to see some more content with that as well. So I know I'm trying to rush through, well, not really rush through everything, but we have so many great topics to talk about when it comes to Mary and all of her expertise that we didn't even get through it last episode. So I want to save and I want to give everybody the time, to ask their questions for Mary to talk more about her story and all of her great golden nuggets that we need in order to achieve financial abundance and prosperity through whatever walk of life that we're walking in today. So everybody, do what you got to do to welcome Mary onto the show. But first, I just want to show you these comments. Thank you for the hashtag positivity posse. You already know on the sweatshirt, week in and week out, you always support, so we appreciate you so much. Jeanette, thank you for dropping the hashtag positivity posse as well. And it says, happy to have you as the MC for It Takes a Village Housing. We're going to crush it. Like I said, we always do because we always lead with love. And that's really everything that you got to do in this life. And I know it might sound a little bit corny or might sound a little cliche, but it is so true. I'm pretty sure if you tried it before, you love walking through the door and you follow right behind it, you'll see that the doors are just opening and opening, and we can affect people in ways that we see, or maybe the ones we can't. Because I know we all thought of somebody, we all know somebody. As soon as they walk in through the door, they're like, damn, who's that person? That person, in order to get that, you got to lead with love as well. So there it is, everybody. I wanted to fit all of that in with you guys as well. And if there's something that you want to let me know about or the positivity posse about, please drop it in the comments, whether it's on Facebook or on YouTube. And I want to really hear about all the great things that are going on in your lives as well. So without further ado, and it's enough of me talking, we have to bring Mary onto the show because, as you already know, she's absolutely amazing, so full of love, so full of abundance, and she's going to give us the blueprint on what we need to do to achieve that same type of lifestyle. So everybody, please drop a heart, drop a fire emoji, whatever you got to do to welcome Mary onto the show because it's time for her to come on.
Dano, oh my gosh, I just have to say how much I love your energy, and I now really understand why your show is called Daily Dose of Dano. It's like drinking from the fountain of just love and positivity. So it's well done.
Thank you so much. And it's been years of cultivating this mindset, and I know that when it comes to the financial side as well, I still need to work on that. So I want to take all of this love and positive energy and drinking from this great fountain, and I want to be able to share it into every asset of our lives or aspect of our lives. Because as we all know, what we do in small things, we do in all things. So money is no different. And I know that a lot of people can start to get scared when it comes to that. But thank you for your kind words. And I'm ready to tackle the show today. Are you?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Awesome. Let's do it. So we're going to start out. So we have Lou that says, welcome to the show, Mary, and Jeanette that says hello and welcome, Mary, as well. They were actually here last time and they were raving about you. So they're excited for, all the great love and great advice that you have to give for us for today. And I just want to make sure everybody knows this. This is not financial advice. This is just purely talking about Mary's experience and just for her to educate me and all of us on her great wisdom as well. So, Mary, let's get right into it. It's enough talking for today. This first question is probably what I think is going to be the most important question for me. And I need your answer to this as well. So here it is. Let's kick it off. So let's say, well, I remember you telling us that, that there have been stages in your lives where you struggled before, and now it doesn't really seem that way, that you have an abundance mindset and, it just comes to you like water. So what was the biggest change in your relationship with money that you had to change in order to really let it in and not push it away?
So, what was the biggest change I made in order to let the money flow in instead of pushing it away? Wow. Well, I got to say, it's a process, right? There's not like in our culture, it's always like a fast bullet, like, let me take a pill. So, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be a combination of mindset, spiritual beliefs, and the material world. And we have to, they're kind of like three different layers and dimensions of ourselves, right? We're spirit, we're soul, we're body. So along with each of those layers of us being a human on the earth, each of those have qualities that go with it. So starting with mindset, we got to look at, where did we come from? We know like science has proven that epigenetically, meaning something that happened in our bloodline generations ago, we don't even know this relative. Something happened to them. It changed the genetics, not the color of their eyes, but epi, meaning around. So it can get passed down through the generations, the trauma. So if trauma can be passed down through the generations in the bloodline, that also means that when we heal, so I want each of your audience members, I want the person right now watching us to understand, if we can heal, that means we can also shift the epigenetics into wholeness, whether it's disease, dis-ease, with money, with relationships, whatever we're talking about. If we can heal it, we can also pass that down forward. I believe that every single one of us that is born and on the planet has that opportunity. I believe we're called to do that. It's just whether or not we're ready for that call, if we believe it, if we believe in ourselves. And so healing the mindset, let's start there, because each of those layers, we can go pretty deep, but we don't have, it took me a very long time to get here, but to say that if one person can do it, anyone can do it. And it doesn't have to take as long as me. And that's why I do what I do, because I always want to bring my golden nuggets to as many people as possible to shorten that time frame for another. And then not just for another person, but so they can teach it down to the next generation, so that we are creating generations of healed people, not just in finance, because finance, how we do one thing is how we do everything, like you said. So if we have woundings, so money trauma, what is it that we inherited through the bloodline? That's one thing. And then when we're born, these are subconscious. Nobody, unless they take the time to really be mindful, we have a lot of blueprints in our subconscious mind that we're not even aware of. So then now we get born into the world, and now we're being raised by one or two adults, and then include teachers or people from your spiritual community, teaching you their beliefs that they've inherited, healthy or not healthy. And this is not just about money, but today we are talking about money, but this relates to everything. And you're smiling because you probably have, this is your area as well. So you understand the subconscious mind. So then now we're having experiences that our parents are like scolding us for one thing or praising us for another. And now we're starting to create blueprints in our subconscious mind of like, all of us just want to be loved. All of us want to give love and be loved. And I believe at the core, all of us want that. And if we do or don't get it, leads to worthiness or unworthiness issues, mommy issues, daddy issues, right? And so we can go really deep with all of this, but it does go deep. And it's important because the mindset and the mental belief systems and the subconscious belief systems are at some point going to overlap with our spiritual belief systems and spiritual ways of living and choosing. And so all of that combined then becomes our material results. So we've
Yep.
heard,
And
right?
yeah,
Go
a
ahead.
lot of people don't understand that, or maybe they have never been taught that too. That what we think about through the law of attraction is what we do, end up receiving in our outer world. So if our inner world is just full of discourse and negativity, that's just what we're going to see out there in the world as well, as a reflection to show this that's what we've been thinking about. But conversely, if we think about all the positive things and the love that we have and the love that we have to give, then on the outside we'll see that as well. So you were just mentioning that I was laughing, and yes, I was, because one of the biggest misconceptions that I heard, maybe growing up, is that money doesn't grow on trees, right? And you were talking about how we've been taught some things that may not have been really beneficial towards our monetary lifestyle. So, Mary, I don't want you to name the clients, but when it comes to your clients, is there like one common misconception or common bad programming that they have received that you have to dispel? And if so, what did you do to dispel it?
When I sit with clients, we don't often dive deep into the psychological aspects of things, but I did come from a background of psychology and life coaching and transformational coaching for a long, long time. So bringing that in as another skill set woven into talking to clients, looking at their portfolios and, seeing what they have and what they need and how I can best serve them. It's a different kind of professionalism. Not that the other one wasn't, but the kind of sphere is more financial. It is financial. So the conversation is not so much about psychology, but I have the training in that. So we don't necessarily, when I talk about my clients in the financial sector, we're not diving into the coaching aspect, but sometimes it comes up. And so to answer your question, a lot of times I will see fear driving the decision making or lack of. They're frozen or they put their heads in the sand. Sometimes they even describe themselves that way. They'll be like, you know what, like, I'm just terrified. I just, like, they actually say, like, I feel like I just stick my head in the sand because I'm too afraid to look at it, but I know I need to. And it's been on their list forever to look at XYZ, whatever it is. Everybody is different, whether it's budgeting. Like, a lot of people, it's surprising because it sounds so commonplace, or maybe the first stage of the building blocks of having a healthy financial life is to know what's coming in and what's going out. So having an income and expense sheet, there's a lot of apps and tools to do that. But a lot of times we get caught up with life. We go to school, we get an education, we graduate, we get a job, and we try to climb the ladder, and buying into that old paradigm of the lie that we've been ingrained with since elementary school, like the bell systems in the schools where the bell rings. That's because they were preparing through the education system to prepare people for the factories. And so this rat race of, I see the generations now breaking free, saying, no, we see that this is a lie and it has not panned out. And the environment has shifted so dramatically. This is not what people are subscribing to anymore. And I think that's wonderful. So we're shifting more into entrepreneurship mindset and building businesses and investing. However, coming back to your question, fear is one of the biggest things. So when I do, a lot of the people I attract have the same value systems as me. So it's okay for us to pray together. So I love that I get to pray with them. And if they're not of that value system, I can still bring love. You mentioned love. That is the secret formula, I guess, for me, for everything, because I love, and it doesn't matter who I'm sitting with. I just love on them. I just want to know, what is it that you need? What are you afraid of? Or what are you wishing for, right? Because we're driven by pain or pleasure. Are we moving away from pain, or are we moving towards pleasure? And either way, we can help them get to where they want to go. And it's a joy.
Yeah. And that you just hit the nail on the head too. And I haven't shown this picture in a while, but if there's anybody that's watching, it might be your first time, or you might know this picture. We just talked about it. And it's that concept of love. And I know right now this picture is taking up the entire screen, but if you look at the top one, at the let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, love is the fourth highest, emotion that you can feel, right? So when it comes to peace and love, That's why we start to say, you want to vibrate at these levels, because once you vibrate at them, everything that reflects your life will be a reflection of those high vibrations. And what high vibes will you start to feel? You'll start to feel on the people that need to come into your life that you're like, where were you? I've been waiting for you forever. Whether it's Mary as like a financial consultant, and that's why you're watching this episode, or it might be your significant partner. So that's why we really stress love, and not just because it sounds good or it just feels good to talk about, but you see the results that come from it. And Mary, we're just going to talk about one more topic really quick before we take our commercial break. But you just mentioned the idea of people going through life, and we kind of forget what we need to do in the financial sense. So I like to call that kind of financial procrastination. So if you can just give one or two quick tips about how to avoid financial procrastination, to say, I'll take care of that when I'm 30, 40, 50, or so many years down the line. What advice can you give for us? Maybe one or two strategies to fight that financial
procrastination.
Yeah, procrastination. Yeah.
Yeah, great question, because I can't tell you how many times I sit with people who are 55, 65, even 70, 80, and they don't have any retirement money saved up. And literally, when I was newer in the industry, I would hang up and go cry because I was so sad that I actually could not. They were in a position that I couldn't help them. Because in order for you to be able to grow your money, make your money grow, which is like leverage, you have to have money. You have to start some chunk of money, or it's either a lump sum of money or money that you can come from your monthly income, that you can like be disciplined enough to say, I'm going to set this amount aside every month, no matter what. But to sit with people who are 80, living only off of Social Security, or widows, because women live longer, breaks my heart. It makes me so sad. And so, so this is a great question, because I always wish that I learned younger. It's never too young. As soon as a baby is born and has a Social Security number, the parent can start immediately to help fund something. And the younger the person is, the more time they have. We call it a time horizon. That's like, it's kind of like a formula. It's like the younger you are, the healthier you are, you have more time, and you don't have to pay that much, a little bit, because the time is going to help you compound it. So the two tips I want to give on how to overcome procrastinating, doing something you know you need to do, is, oh, wow, this one just came in my mind and it wasn't what I was going to say, is catch yourself thinking or speaking, especially if you're speaking it out loud, because what we say is what we create. Even in the Bible, it says that. So like what you say to yourself in your mind is also important, because you're going to believe it and you're going to act in that way. And then you're going to have the material outcome, the results. So people always say, I'm terrible with numbers. Numbers scare me. Oh, money. It just stresses me out. I don't want to look at money. Well, if you want to be wealthy on one hand because you want the better things in life, but then on the other hand, your two belief systems are fighting each other internally. So we got to, number one, be aware of what we're thinking and what we're saying, and stop hanging out with people who are going to keep you in that mindset. Even if they're family, I'm sorry, just don't have those conversations with them, because they're going to keep you stuck. So that's number one. Number two is have a really big why. What is your why? And constantly come back to it. My why is I'm a single mom of 2 young girls. So me winning is them winning for generations, me figuring it out and teaching it forward, healing my mindset, my spiritual aspect, and then the material world, and then teaching it forward and having the strategies and the systems of how to pass it forward, and teaching them how to do that continuously in the most optimal way, so they're not getting taxed like crazy and all this other stuff, is important. So yeah, those are my 2 tips.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing that too. And I hope everybody is absorbing all this great information and the golden nuggets that Mary's providing for us. And what did I tell you guys? That's why we had to have her for another round of another dose, I guess, if you want to call it that, on Weekly Dose of Dano TV. So everybody, we're just going to hear a quick word from our sponsors of Weekly Dose of Dano TV. And when we come back, Mary is going to give us her opinion of a video that we're going to show, whether it's fact or cap. So everybody, do what you got to do, raise your vibrations, like, share, do whatever it is that you have to do. Maybe it's even to use the bathroom, right? If you got to relieve yourself, do it all, because we'll be back after a word from our sponsors.
At Grade Success, it's our job to make sure that your child succeeds in school regardless of the subject or grade level. Our tutors are trained professionals who know how to promote learning and encourage results. Whether you are looking for help with SAT, ACT prep, private and group tutoring, K through 3 reading programs for your child, or educational consulting and college counseling, here at Grade Success, we can help you find the right answer. Visit gradesuccess.com to learn more about our in-person and online program options. Grade Success, where your child's success is our business.
So everybody, that was our first sponsor. Thank you so much to Great Success for sponsoring Weekly Dose of Dano TV. And to my Positivity Posse, thank you so much for week in and week out coming in to support all the great content that we bring to you through Mindset, Heart Set, Soul Set, and today it's specifically Money Set, even though they're all intertwined with one another. So everybody, Mary specifically, I'm going to share this video with you, and through the great powers of social media, I guess they heard us talking last time that we had our episode, and I saw this on my TikTok feed. So just let me know after. Actually, I'm just going to play the video, and then when we come back, I want to hear exactly what your thoughts are about this video. So let me hear it, and yeah, so should be on the screen right now, and I'm going to play it for everybody as well. And here we go. Let me know what you think.
Do not ever let your parents give you the house. Instead, do what the rich do. I'm retiring and I'm giving you the house. Dad, you tripping. Don't put that on my name. What, do you want the house? Of course I do, but you've owned the property for a really long time and the property value has appreciated a lot, which means if you was to transfer the property in my name today, I'll be responsible for paying all the capital gains taxes when I sell it. Man, it can't be that bad. So you got the property for $50,000. Now it appraised for $500,000. If you transfer the property in my name and I sold it today, I'll have to pay over $100,000 in capital gains taxes. That's a lot of money. So what should I do? Instead, you should put the property in the living trust and add me as the beneficiary. So when you unalive in 30 years, I can inherit the property tax-free through the stepped-up and cost basis. Okay, so how do I put my house in the living trust? First thing you do is get a copy of your current deed. Then you want to prepare a copy of a new deed. You can use a quitclaim deed or grant deed. On the form, the grantor will be your name and the grantee will be the living trust name. After you finish the entire form, you want to sign and date it in front of a notary. Then you want to take it to your local land record office and file it there. And once it's completed, your home will be in the trust. Guys, so don't transfer assets in your kid's name. Open up a trust instead. Exactly. That way we pay no capital gain taxes and we build generational wealth. Wow, son, who taught you all this? I simply just follow the rebellion king.
So everybody, that was it. And Mary, I gotta know, is he talking facts right there, or is he talking a bunch of nonsense?
Yeah, for sure. That is the truth. I mean, I have a living trust expert that I send everyone to. She's amazing. In fact, I did an episode. I interviewed her on my show. But what he's saying is true. That's one thing I always recommend when I sit with people and we, in the first meeting, review their portfolios. And one of the top questions I ask is, do you have a living trust? Because everybody is going to need one if they own anything. If they have money, if they have property, because if they have life insurance, if they have investments, they're going to want to have an entity that's going to be helping them pass it forward in that way. Yeah. Awesome.
That's beautiful. And when I'm looking at this video, and I got to know, it seems so simple. So when you actually go out to do it in the real world, is it as simple as the gentleman described it as?
I really recommend using an expert. The team that I work with, it's an attorney, right? It's an estate planning attorney who does that. And there's a reason, because you want to make sure you do it correctly. I'm sure you could. My friend files her own taxes. I like to pay someone. So it's just kind of peace of mind. It's getting done right. And it's leveraging time. So I would prefer to use an expert with something like this, something this important, because a living trust is an entity that will last forever and can go for generation to generation. And you get to set the rules in there. For instance, one of the common things that we see clients do is When they pass away, let's say their life insurance, for instance, they make the trust the beneficiary, and then it's all the rules and regulations in there with how the beneficiaries coming from receiving the money through the trust, when it can go to them. For instance, like, oh, this amount can only go to them if they're at a certain age, or if it's for university or to start a business. Like, they can't just go and access the money and blow it, because statistically, beneficiaries will blow that money lump sum in, I want to say, like 19 months, if I remember correctly.
What?
So yeah. So that's what I mean. Like, when I mentioned my children being young, it's not just about healing ourselves and then overcoming and coming to that place, but teaching them the strategies that we learned, something as simple as this. And then they have to teach it forward too.
I love that. And, that's actually a great perfect segue actually into what I was going to ask you next. Like you said, when it comes to receiving money that we've maybe never received before, whether it's a lump sum or we win the lottery, we want to do the, annuity payments. There's so many different traps and pitfalls that we can fall into. So impulse spending, or maybe inflation, or there can be thousands of things that we can name, but they can all sabotage our savings. So what strategies do you have to recommend for us, whether it's through your own children, something that you teach, in order to stay disciplined to avoid all of these pitfalls?
So how to avoid overspending or blowing the money? Good question. Discipline. I think one thing is, one of my clients and I were just talking about this today, is automatically setting up a withdrawal on your own privately, from one account to another, as soon as you get your paycheck, or if you have your own business, as soon as you reach a certain amount, to have an automatic withdrawal into another account, so that you don't even see it, you don't think about it. And that once it hits a certain amount, then you're going to dump it into an investment, because there are certain investments where there's a minimum amount for you to be able to continuously contribute to it. And so just depending on in which direction you go. So I think where you can automate and not think about it is the best, like memberships to the gym, right? They make so much money, people don't go. Or your Netflix, or whatever type of membership type purchases you have. It's like that. So do it for your own good. Do it for your own future, because what we need to do is today create these automation systems for yourself, so that tomorrow, when you're no longer working, you have income that you can count on, that is going to pay for your expenses and your lifestyle during retirement. And that's the whole point, is to plan ahead so you can have that.
We love that. And I like how you give actionable things that we can set up and do tomorrow, and not just say, oh, well, I feel a lot more confident now just because I heard somebody, give me that positive motivation. No, you are giving us the tips that we need to actually implement this information as well. And Mary, I kind of want to go back to something that you mentioned earlier into the episode, that you kind of have the expertise of being in two worlds. One, before, you used to be a life coach, and the mindset and psychology behind success and empowerment. And somebody else that is a financial success or a financial coach doesn't have that same background that you do. So can you tell us, like, if somebody was interested in maybe working with you, why that is kind of something that would benefit them, that you kind of have both backgrounds in those two different worlds?
Yeah, I think that, just because I have that background doesn't mean someone who couldn't be excellent either, right? But I don't know them necessarily. I'm just saying generally, there's excellent people out there without that background. For me, though, what I think makes me bring extra value to the client is my empathy. I think God just made me very empathetic, just being able to hear people. Hear them, like genuinely hear behind the words and see behind the person and really understand the story. Like, a lot of times I can already know the story because I have so much experience dealing with people in psychology. I kind of have a quick read, but I don't make any prejudgments. I kind of just use it as a tool to ask questions to confirm, and then I kind of know how to speak to them. And because I've dealt with so many different types of people, I myself have gone through so many life experiences, that also makes me extra empathetic and capable of understanding others. And I think people don't feel judged when I talk to them, and they're okay exposing their, there's typically two camps of people. Like people typically end up in two kind of categories when they sit with me. They're either like uber wealthy and their investments are throwing off like, I don't know, $500,000 a year of income because they had the experience of knowing what to do and someone taught them. They didn't come out of the womb knowing how to do that. They got educated, someone taught them, and maybe for generations they were the product of what we're talking about today. And that's what we aspire to be. It's education and implementation. And the other camp is more common, the everyday American who didn't have that education or family that was able to give that to them. And so they're struggling. They want to do better, but they don't know how. And so they're scared. They feel so much shame, like that chart that you showed earlier. They're way down here vibrating in shame. And when you're vibrating in shame, subconsciously or consciously, it's very hard to be open to ideas that are going to be good for them. And so it's almost like having to break through that ceiling of the familiar box that they've been in where they came from, because other people also in their family have said, who do you think you are? Like, you can't be better than us. You think you're better than us? Who knows? It comes in lots of different forms. And so the other camp are people who want to do better, and they don't feel judged because I just love on them and just give them. Yeah. So I can speak gently. Sometimes I have to be tough love Mary, or, gangster Mary, or just like be straight. Gangster Mary. Yeah. Be really straight and be that really strong anchor to hold the container for the person and just call it out and be like, you know what, this is the truth. This is the truth of what you need. Answer all the questions and help them get there. I don't tell people what to do because that's not the correct way to do things, but I do give them the information, and I will tough love Mary. Yeah.
Tough love Mary. It's so fun. When you brought up Gangster Mary, I thought about you with the backwards hat, maybe rapping about financial security and financial safety. So maybe that's coming out soon. Stick around for the music video that Mary's gonna throw out there, talking about Gangster Mary. And I don't know if you've ever seen The Office too. It's kind of like Prison Mike. Have you ever seen that?
Oh no, I mean, that's so long ago. I don't remember. Yeah.
No, yes. Well, you gotta rewatch it. So everybody, like I said, I really appreciate Mary coming on today to really sharing her golden nuggets. And if you're watching this right now and you think Mary is a great fit for you, Mary, where can people reach out to you at?
Yeah, they can reach out to all of those social media platforms you've got right under my photo. That's the easiest way. Just message me and we'll connect. And I'd be happy to we can hop on a quick 30-minute discovery call and see if we're a good fit. If I can serve you, I'd be honored to.
Awesome. Well, everybody, we're just going to hear a word from our second sponsor, which is the Power of We Symposium. And when we come back, we're going to continue all of the great conversations, or maybe scary conversations, that revolve around money, and maybe possibly if you're misbehaving, you're going to get beat up by Gangster Mary as well. So we'll be right back after a word from our second sponsor.
5 years ago, the Power of We Symposium was created to provide a platform for kids from all sectors where they could have a safe and comfortable environment in which to share both their joys and concerns. The Power of We Symposium is proud to have served over 250 kids throughout Romania when we took our mission global back in May of 2023. Now, 2 teams of amazing volunteers from both the U.S. and Romania embarked on an 8-day Legacy of Hope tour, bringing encouragement and hope to not only the kids of Romania, but also the adults who support them, and also to over 100 kids here in the U.S. who contributed handwritten letters of hope to our Romania mission of 2023. Now, this year, we are proud to provide this opportunity yet again in October, and we are super excited to up our game. New venue, 750 kids this time, and we want to see you there. We're looking forward to meeting you in person at this year's event, which promises, as always, incredible speakers, amazing content, and of course, some of the greatest kids on the planet. So, mark your calendars for October 24th, and we'll see you here in Chicagoland for the Power of We Symposium 2024. This year's theme is Always Together, Never Alone. Tickets are available now on Eventbrite or at powerofwesymposium.com.
So everybody, that was the Power of We Symposium. Thank you so much for sponsoring Weekly Dose of Dano TV. And October 24th, God willing, if everything goes correct, I will be there in Chicago talking to the kids and really empowering them for the second time, thankfully, like I said, God willing, to really just talk about, mental resilience and what it takes to be successful and just to really have a great time. Because the first year I was there, it was really impactful and powerful just to talk to the kids, just to hear about what they might be going through and how we can help them just as much as Mary's helping us today. So Mary, we have so much to talk about in such a short little time. And I wanted to say this great conversation, Mary. Thank you so much to the Positivity Posse for just constantly always leaving your comments and your great energy as well. We feel every single ounce of that love, and we're giving it right back to you and into the world as well. So Mary, let's continue our conversation. And this may be a really case-by-case question that I'm going to ask you, but I'm just going to let you answer it, and here we go. So, retirees often, face the dilemma of whether they should pay off their debts or whether they should invest in their savings. So what factors should individuals consider if they wanted to do either or, and what advice would you have to give for them?
That's a really good question. And I do get that question. I've had it before. And I think that it depends on what kind of debt we're talking about, how much the percentage rate is. For instance, a low interest rate that you have locked in is going to be like say a mortgage. It's building equity in your real estate. You've locked it in if it's fixed and it's a low amount. That's okay. Like take advantage of the low amount and keep on paying it off. Or go get if it's other types of credit cards, get a balance transfer to a 0% so that you're not hurting yourself with that compounding interest, right? When we're coming to investing, we want that positive compounding interest, but not the credit card. It's the same type of formula, but it's going negative and it's hurting you. So just thinking about what kind of interest rates are we looking at, and having a spreadsheet is one way too. I really believe in tracking your numbers. Like how many credit cards do you have? Put it in a sheet. I love all the Google features, Google Document, Google Sheets. I'm quite a nerd. And put out all of the things that you have as far as debts. Label, naming what it is. How much is the interest rate? Interest rates are rising all the time if it's credit cards. So when is track, look at that. When is it rising? How much is it? It's going to give you a big why to pay that off or transfer it. So at least you're buying yourself another 12 to 18 months at a 0% so that you're not ruining your credit and you're not hurting yourself paying so much in these credit card interest rates. But again, if it's building equity, if it's building growth in another way, then it's almost a wash and you're earning on top of that. So I think being able to discern what is good debt and negative debt. Maybe some people don't like that vocabulary, but I think we can look past it, understand what I'm trying to say here. What's actually building something for you. Wealthy people often will use money, borrowed money, to go and invest and do other things, using other people's money to leverage and go build other things and pay it back because they made an earning off of that multiple times. So shifting that mindset from fear of having debt, I see that a lot. And I see that between the two categories of people very drastically. And I myself had to make that shift too, because if we didn't have someone to show us that, and we had people saying money doesn't grow on trees, then we're afraid to have debt. And we think all debt is the same versus borrowing other people's money to leverage to go build something.
Yeah, I don't know if we're both just vibrating on that same sense of love and that same frequency of love, because that was going to be my next question. That's like the third time you've done that. And I promise everybody, I didn't give Mary the answer beforehand. So stop reading my mind, Mary. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And to Shane out there, thank you for commenting. I hope everything is well. I know recently you had a newborn child as well, so I hope everything is going great for you. And I think this will be a great episode for you to teach your newborn at a very young age on the great importance of financial education and how to do everything correctly as well. And Jeanette says right here, go build something with someone else's money. That's so true. And like you said, there are so many different things that we can do, whether we want to invest in our own business. And that's really kind of the number one thing that I think of when it comes to taking out a loan. Are there other safe strategies that we can utilize when it comes to taking out a loan, or maybe something that you've seen before that has been very successful, that has worked?
I don't think that that is my area of expertise, is taking out loans, and like I wouldn't be able to speak too intelligently about that. However, there is one aspect that I do know about loans, and that is one of the solutions that when a client is a good fit for it, um, inside of a life insurance policy, a certain type, and they're not all created equal. So I do want to say that there are certain products on the market that will harm people because there's a lot of lies out there about certain types of life insurance products. It's trying to be something that it's not. And yeah. So before you go and do something like that, make sure you just reach out to me, message me. I will tell you specifically what I'm talking about, and I will help you. I will guide you and give you information so you can make a educated decision for yourself, because right now people haven't figured it out yet. There's a lot of TikToks, a lot of Facebook, a lot of social media posts about, I'll just say what it is. They're called IULs, Index Universal Lives. And I actually used to represent this product. I used to own these. I used to have my kids in them. And as we start to see the economy shifting and the financial environment drastically changing, these carriers, they don't want to lose money. They don't want their stockholders to lose money. So they will shift different things in these contracts so that the client loses and the shareholders win, because their job is to make the shareholders happy. And so what we're finding is now, because the economy is shifting and the environment is shifting so drastically, they aren't making money and they have to pull these levers, and the clients are the ones who are losing. However, now seeing that there are other solutions that do exactly what those things are promising. For instance, it's too much to go into in an episode here, but that's why probably if somebody wants to know, they can get a complimentary session with me and we can see if that's even a good fit, because it's not necessarily for everyone. It's not for everyone. But if it is, I'll tell you the gist of why I even went there. So under the IRS code, under a life insurance policy, if it has a cash value in it, I'm getting too technical. Let me just unwind for a minute.
I was gonna say, you know what, Mary, half the stuff that you're about to say is gonna go over my head. So let's just stop right there before we scare everybody off all the positivity.
I am so sorry. I am such a nerd, right? And like, I'm glad you would have caught me. I'm glad I caught myself, because I get way too nerdy because I'm like so into it. But I'll tell you this, there are ways where you can have an investment. Let's not call it an investment. You can have a solution where you can borrow against your own money and go do other things. You're borrowing against yourself to go build and then pay yourself back, and your dollar is earning twice. The same dollar is working for you twice. So anyway, that's too technical. Just if somebody wants to know how they can be more efficient with their money, they can talk to me.
There you go. So I encourage everybody watching to really use that social media that you see down there for Mary's information, and schedule that discovery call to learn more about the nerdy side. No, I'm just kidding. To learn about the technical side of the finances and everything too. So I'm going to bring up something that you are an expert about, which is the conversation of money, and it's called the millionaire destiny. Right? $1 million destiny.
$1 million Destiny, my show?
Yeah, exactly. So why did you create your show called the $1 Million Destiny in order to start this conversation about financial well-being?
Yeah, thanks for that question. $1 Million Destiny TV, it's funny because if I were to be totally transparent right now, that wasn't the original name. The original name was Undercover Ministry. And that was because everything I do is about sending love to the person I'm with, whether it's a cashier or a client. It's all about giving them love and the highest frequency. And so I'm like, well, nobody's looking for that. So I just kind of layered on top of it that name, because people are looking for $1 million something. And I'm all about fulfilling your destiny. I believe that we are all born, for this time, this very intense time right now, to be the difference, to be the light, to be the love, and to use ourselves as the first guinea pig to implement change for the good inside of us so that we can radiate it out. And as we embody it, we naturally impact people just walking down the street. And so that's why I called it that. And the whole point of the show is to talk about money, wealth, and legacy. Because in order for you to fulfill your destiny and leave a legacy to the highest degree of why you were created to be on the planet right now, when everything seems to be breaking down and imploding and exploding, and you're looking around, you're like, I'm so numb from the pain and the wars and the this and the that. We are the ones who have to be the difference. But how can we have the biggest impact if we are still stuck in poverty consciousness? Mm-hmm. And so I'm really fired up about that topic. And so now I've been put into a financial industry so that I can bring the love and the light to the people I'm sitting with. So having that show just makes sense. Everything just comes together. Thanks, Janet. Just coming together to interview people who are already living it at a very high level, whether it's CEOs that are nationwide companies or founders that are really at a high level, sharing people. I like to share and spotlight people who have established how to do that, whether it's in the finance sector. How do you create a legacy so you're not taxed heavily or your heirs aren't taxed heavily? How do you create a legacy project? I have tons of people I've interviewed that have global projects. A homeless girl grew up to be a woman who had a global impact with her legacy, multi-million dollars. So inspiration, showing people that it doesn't matter where you came from, but you can't become any of these people.
Yeah, and there's 2 points to what you just said as well, that it's number one that I want to mention. Number one, and this is my area of expertise, right? So we're bringing it back home. So number one, yes, just because those things do happen, like you said, there's doom and gloom and there's war out there and or racism, whatever it is that you want to pinpoint, it does not serve us to our greatest and highest good if we decide to focus on those things. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but it doesn't serve us if we focus on that all the time. So, Mary, it's so important, and I thank you for having your show, and that's why I started mine too, because just because it does happen, that we shouldn't focus on it, because then, as we already know, our life will start to become consumed with that, because as we see with social media now, or anything that we do on our phones and just in our everyday lives, we're going to receive more of that doom and gloom. So, yes, it does happen. You can acknowledge it, but don't harp on it and don't sit in that negative energy. And Mary, it's nice to know that you have started that show in order to help people break out of that negative consciousness, if you want to call it that. And then number two, which I think is very, very important for everybody to understand, is, wow, I just forgot it, right? It just escaped me. Like you said, the thought that you had earlier came in and mine escaped me. But
what I want to, if I can add one point.
Yeah.
What I want to share is I've been in those cycles where like I watch something on YouTube and the algorithm will give you more, right? I like to be informed. I'm a nerd, like I said. I could be gangster, I could be a nerd, I could be sad. There's so many faces that we all each have. But when the algorithm keeps giving me more and it gets me stressed out, I have to have cold turkey, cut it off. But this is what I've decided. This is the point I want to add on, is that now I look at the headlines of the YouTube instead of watching it. I get the gist of what's happening in Israel or wherever, and I pray. So I believe the point of me seeing the news titles is to go and pray about it right away. Because if I can't go there and fight, then let me do that in the way that I can.
Yeah. And as you just sparked my what I was going to say again, and it's so just on point. And number two, Mary, you can attest to this. The reason that you got thrown into the pit, and I know some people believe in a higher being or a God or whatever it is that you believe in, you have been thrown into that pit because you were strong enough to get out of it, and he knew you were going to come out of it. But now we have a responsibility to go back into the pit and help as many people out as possible. So whatever it is that we're going through in our lives, it's serving us for our greatest and highest good, and it's helping us help others, whether we realize it at that time or not. And I know, Mary, I think we've discussed this before, but you had your stories of abuse. I've had my stories of, just things of not, growing up with a single mother in the city of Camden, which is the hood, and all these great things. Every single thing is serving us in order to help others as well. So please don't ever think that you're going through something alone. You're not. That's just a negative way of thinking. And are you really that special that you think that there's billions of people on this planet that you're the only one going through that? No. What is special is you and how you overcome these challenges that have been placed and these obstacles that have been placed in your way. So yes, that's what I just wanted to make sure. You are sent into the pit to come out of the pit and help other people get out of that pit as well. So Mary, what are some things in the future that we can look out for, whether it's social media, whether it's your consulting business or just you? What can we look out for in the future?
Definitely. Oh my gosh. So everything that I have 3 main projects and they're all interlinked. Is the TV show to get the word out about who's doing amazing things so that you can do it too. The finance right now, the economy, the environment is shifting drastically. We've been warning people since Q4 of last year that things are going to be bad. We don't know when because no one had a crystal ball, but it's starting, it's happening. And so what I want to say is the big warning: if people have money in the markets, this is the time you need to pay attention, get your head out of the sand and look at your accounts in the markets, because you need to protect that money. And that's what I have been sent to do. I am sounding the alarm because, I came from a place where it was more about manifestation than working in the physical world. But we got to merge both of them. So what I want to say is, I know our time is up. So what I want to the final word that I want to make sure the audience gets is that this is a very critical time to protect whatever you've worked so hard to create. We got to protect it now. So reach out, please. And and then I have a nonprofit called Wings to Fly Foundation. So that's what's coming in the future.
Beautiful. Well, we are so excited to have you and to have you for a second time here on Weekly Dose of Dano TV to really share your energy, your love, your wisdom, and your spirit as well. So if everybody is interested, please reach out to Mary on the social medias that you see down below. And we'll see you next week for another episode of Weekly Dose of Dano TV. We have actor extraordinaire Chris Gaunt coming on to the show to really hear about his life experiences and everything that it takes in order to become a successful actor as well. So just a little preview for that. Just stick around on social medias that you see right beneath the both of us. You can follow us on all these social media platforms, and we would love to hear more from you. So just please reach out, and we'll see you next week for another episode of Weekly Dose of Dano TV. Stay safe this weekend and do everything that we can, whether it's meditation or just giving somebody that compliment that you see on the street to raise the vibrations of the earth. So everybody, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week for another episode of Weekly Dose of Dano TV. Peace, everybody.